and this is our plan of attack.
Thanks.
Okay, so you're going to hear a little bit of it.
So consider
It should stop in just a few minutes, and then...
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
This is our bank. This is our war. And this is our plan of attack.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once-per-year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Barbara Jean Lindsey is an internationally acclaimed psychic, spiritual healer, author, and founder of the online mystery school, Esoteric University. As the Cosmic Oracle, she is a conduit to the powers that be to answer your questions about your future self, past lives, current career, love. She shines light into the darkness to illuminate what was, what may be, and beyond. The readings and advice given by Barbara Jean Lindsey are for entertainment purposes only, should not take the place of any medical, legal, or financial advice given to you by a qualified professional, and are not a substitute for medical, legal, or financial advice. If you need a doctor, call a doctor. If you need to be expanded, call the Cosmic Oracle.
There you go. Hello, Kevin.
Hi. How are you?
There you are. I'm so glad. I thought I lost you there for a moment. So I want to make sure that you're here. We want to thank Revolution Radio for condoning and putting up and having this whole creation for the last, I don't know how many years of having Revolution Radio on the air. And because of their freedom that they have to put things on the air that really mean a difference to people and make a difference. We have a complete freedom to talk about whatever we want to tonight. And so that, with great satisfaction, I do have KEVIN Estrella. We'll be having him come on the show, and I'll tell you all about him. I'm happy to introduce him to you and his music and his life and his work. And I think you'll just find him to be very inspiring in so many ways. And before we call KEVIN on, I do want to thank you for all of you who have donated in the past us to keep Revolution Radio on the air. It's up to your donations. That's how we stay alive here on the network. So far this month, we've raised $2,157. Yay! That's pretty good for us. We need $2,450. So if you could go to freedomslips.com, find that donate button and push it, and just give whatever you can, $1, $3, $5, whatever you can really, really helps. And so thank you again for your generous support over the years, and looking forward to having you support our station here at freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio, for the rest of the year. And so without further ado, I would like to welcome, we have a couple new things today. We do have a lady joining us who is going to be our official greeter, and that is Pinky Lee, and she'll be joining us soon. And so she'll be kind of keeping an eye on our comment section, because you'll be able to ask Kevin any kind of questions that you have pertaining to his work, and he'll do his best to answer them, I'm sure. So I would like to give you a little bit of background before I have you come on, Kevin. Kevin is the creator of a band, an amazing band, Pyramids on Mars. And they say the music really does sound like it's from Mars. And I haven't heard the music from Mars, but if I did, I'm sure his music would be something better than what I could actually create myself. So he's a consummate musician and songwriter. And every once in a while, there's a band that comes along that's so different and unique that one would think that they were dropped on Earth from another planet. And Pyramids on Mars is one of those bands. And he is the solo project of guitarist KEVIN Estrella, and he wanted to do something musically different that would stand out from the crowd. So I'll quote him, "Pyramids on Mars is the embodiment of who I am, really. My musical influences, my philosophies on life, the universe, and our place in it." Kevin goes on to say, "I have always been attracted to space, and a lot of my sound is influenced from my childhood growing up in the 70s. Some of my favorite TV shows back then were Star Trek and Space, 1999. Plus, I'm a huge Rush and Pink Floyd fan. Thus, I use a lot of analog synthesizers like the Mini Moog and Oberheim, polyphonic, predominant of the 70s era, and used exclusively by those bands. They're just so warm and mysterious sounding, they really resonate with him." So Kevin's musical style is very similar to world-renowned rock guitarist Joe Satriani. So much Kevin has nicknamed himself the Satriani of the North. So of course, Satriani is a huge influence on me, he says, but Satriani does more of a bluesy things. And Kevin says that he's more influenced by classical music. We were talking earlier, and he absolutely loves Baroque and Baroque classical composers like J.S. Bach and Antonio Vivaldi. They're his favorite and biggest musical influences, and a complete paradigm shift for me, the way I think about melody and harmony, that is, he says. He spent 3 years, in fact, studying classical guitar, and he mixes his classical influences with all the bands that he grew up listening to, like Rush, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Ministry, Pink Floyd, for example, and bands like Masuka. I'm a blend of it all, he says, and much more. So that's just his musical background. And then we're going to talk today about his background, and hopefully he'll bring on, if he'd like, or if they're available, his friends from the Sandia Mountains in Albuquerque, the Ponti. So welcome to the Cosmic Oracle Show, Kevin.
Hi, Barbara. Glad to be here. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great time.
I think we're going to have some fun, for sure, for sure. I was listening to your music earlier, and so let's maybe start with, it says in the 70s you were into that kind of music, and let's maybe start off there with your love for music and space.
Sure, absolutely. So I took guitar lessons when I was 10 years old. But I didn't get serious into it until I was in my teens, and that's when my cousin introduced my brother and I to Rush, And then we just had to learn every single Rush tune that we could. So thus began a lot of years of practicing and woodshedding, as they call it. And then it was grade 10 that I was in homeroom class with my best friend Mike at the time, and he had these 2 tapes of Joe Satriani. He was surfing with the alien and not of this earth. And he says, "You got to hear this Joe Satriani guy. He's amazing." And then he gave me the tapes to play, and that just like blew my mind, and it changed my life. It was like, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be playing instrumental, rock music like this. And so I became very dedicated at a very young age, grade 10, to learning, getting as good as I could in the guitar to get myself to a level where I could, play something close to what, Joe does. And so, I got pretty good. And after I went into university, and then I had some bands in university, and I was in several bands over through university, and then my early 20s, and then eventually those bands fell apart, and then I wanted to get back to doing what it was that I always felt most natural. See, the music I was doing before was more band oriented. So we had a singer, and then one of our bands, we sounded like we were very Toolish in influence. And after that fell apart, I wanted to get back to what I was doing, where I was going originally, which was instrumental rock music. And then I formed Pyramids on Mars back in 2011 and began writing on my own. So this was a bit of a challenge at first because I was so used to writing in a band environment, because you're sharing with different musicians and you just kind of create when you're jamming stuff out, and then you work your song. So I had to completely reinvent myself. Honestly, it was kind of terrifying because now I was playing all the instruments. Now I play all the drums. I don't play the drums. I program the drums. Every note, every beat is programmed. I hear it in my head, and I create it. But I play the bass. I play all the keyboards. I produce all my own albums. I engineer them. I master them. I produce them. So I wear a lot of hats, and it takes a lot of skill to be able to do it at that level, to do everything. Like, think about it. It's quite mind-boggling, actually. And so I started writing music for Pyramids on Mars. But the idea for Pyramids on Mars was I wanted to merge my love of instrumental rock music with my love and passion for spreading the extraterrestrial presence and waking people up to the reality of extraterrestrials and raising people's consciousness. Well, little did I know that this actually was always the plan from the very beginning. See, you start to understand time. There's no such thing as past, present, future. There's only the all-time. And this was all part of the plan from the very beginning. And I've been able to reverse engineer my life at specific points that you would have never known were actually put in place for the work that I would be doing at this time now in this timeline. So I spent, at the same time when I was in university, that's when I really became very passionate about, extraterrestrials and educating myself. And a guy downstairs, he had tons of papers from Bob Lazar, who, worked at Area 51, and he had all this reverse engineered craft. And this guy had documents from this because he actually had internet connection. Now, keep in mind, this is 1994. No one had internet until 2000. Somehow this guy was like way ahead of the game, and he had this information. So I started getting this stuff and was reading it. And then I started reading Bud Hopkins' books, people who've been abducted by aliens and stuff. And then I saw the movie Communion, and everything was I was educating myself continuously, learning more and more about extraterrestrials. And I spent from my year, 19th birthday to, how old am I now? 47. All this time I've spent my time educating and educating and educating.
Was that obsessive, Kevin?
No, it was an obsessive no. It was that
passionate.
It was like it was. I almost felt like it was what I was meant to be here for. Mm-hmm. That's what I felt. Mm-hmm. And even in my early 20s, I kept saying, guys, I'm here. I want to help raise awareness. I'm here. Come get me. Come meet me. I will do whatever you need me to do it. And this is what I believed, like when I was in my early 20s. But it would not be until I was almost 40 when my awakening call would happen. So I released my first album, Pyramids on Mars. And then it was August 21st, 2014, when I went out into my backyard, and from behind a tree from my neighbor's side, the tree's only maybe 75 feet tall, all of a sudden this craft comes out from behind the tree. It was only 100 yards away from me.
Ooh, that's close.
Yards. I could have threw a stone, to hit this thing. Came out from behind the tree. It was a glowing orangish red disc, and it was moving very slowly, like almost the speed of a helicopter. And I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. I honestly didn't. It had like smoke that seemed to be streaming off the top of it and then along the bottom of it, And I'm looking at this thing, and it went across my backyard, and then it started moving south towards Binbrook. Keep in mind, I live in the city of Hamilton, a city of 500,000 people. I live just off of one of the busiest streets on the city. It was 10:30 at night, so it wasn't late. People are walking their dogs, people are driving their cars, and here's this massive UFO only like a couple hundred feet above in the air, glowing red, orange disc, massive. And it went across some distance in my backyard, and then it started moving towards Binbrook, and simultaneously as it started moving it away, it was turning its back towards me, and its light, the orangish red glow, became less and less to the point where there was no light at all. It was just a black mass, black in the air. But as it was doing that, it was opening up this swirling white vortex in the front of it, almost like a portal. And then it just kept going until it was out of my sight. I was completely floored. I was freaked out. I was like, what was that?
What just happened? What
was that? Did I just see a UFO? I didn't even know what it was. And then I realized, oh my God, that was a UFO. I completely flipped out. And so I immediately filled out a report to MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network.
This is in Canada, right, Kevin?
Yes, in Canada and in Ontario and Hamilton. Now, the other thing that was strange about this craft was that I found out that what that smoke was that was coming off the top and bottom of it, it was plasma. This craft was radiating plasma. But the other thing about it was that it was two-dimensional. This object was only two-dimensional. And when people say, what do you mean by that? Well, I mean, like, picture a solar eclipse. That's two-dimensional. It's got height, it's got width, but it has no depth. It looks like a hole in the sky. Huh. Well, that's what this thing looked like. It looked like a hole.
Flat, like a pancake?
Like a pancake. It had no depth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no depth to it. It was like looking like
so strange.
Like a cartoon almost. It was like, what was that? And then it was orangish red, glowing like coals. At first, I thought it was just a meteor that was moving really slow. But then I realized, wait a second, meteors don't fly only a couple hundred feet off the ground. So the whole thing was just so bizarre, and it broke the laws of physics I had never seen before. But it would be almost a year later that I would actually get answers as to what was going on. So it was...
and you probably wanted answers to try and fit that experience into your reality.
I did, because for 2 weeks after I had the UFO experience, honestly, my paradigms were shattered. Mm-hmm. I always hoped to have a UFO to see one, but after it actually happened, my reaction and my emotional state was much different than I was anticipating. Right. I was almost destroyed because I just couldn't. I could not fathom it. It didn't fit into my reality. Mm-hmm. I wrestled trying to understand the physics of what it was that I saw. You're trying to map it into the paradigm world of what I know,
And what most people know, or a lot of
people know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, two-dimensional? What is this smoke that's coming off of this thing? A vortex? A portal opening? What is going on? I never seen anything like this, and it happened all before my very eyes. But I realized, it was 6 months later that I realized that it was actually plasma that this object was covered in. And that's actually what MUFON confirmed. Because when I met with them, it would be the Alien Cosmic Expo in Brampton, the 2015, and that is when my life changed. Because I was told about it, I went and pulled up the newspapers and took a look to see who was, because they said all these major UFO researchers are coming to town to do these presentations, live pay-per-view. It was a big deal. It was the first thing. It was the first time in Ontario. And I saw.
They have your answers, right?
Oh,
if someone's they probably would, right?
Well, this is what I found out. This is how the universe works. So I saw that Stanton Friedman was doing a presentation, and I was thinking, oh, that's awesome, because I watched a lot of his videos. Mm-hmm. But then it was Grant Cameron. And then when I saw what his presentation was on, I floored. My jaw dropped, because it's the Grant Cameron, world-renowned, UFO researcher, several awards, whatever. And then he says, Grant Cameron's doing a presentation on extraterrestrials and musicians, and why musicians are being contacted in order to raise consciousness and frequency on the planet.
What did you do when you heard that? What was your reaction to that?
My jaw dropped. I was in shock. It was the first synchronicity that I ever had. And I realized that this was planned. This was all part of a much grander plan, and that I realized, oh my God, this is all about me. Mm-hmm. This is crazy. What are the chances? I mean, pyramids on Mars, I'm writing music to raise consciousness and frequency on the planet. A UFO flies over, and now Grant Cameron's doing a presentation on this, and I'm part of a group of musicians. Again, this is not an isolated incident. I was being called to go and see Grant. It was my awakening call. And it was like, when Jesus' disciples, when you're called, you're called. Mm-hmm. And so I drive there thinking something big is going to happen this weekend. My life is going to change. Yeah. And it changed in more ways than I could ever even imagine. So when I get there, and I grab Grant just before he goes on the stage, hand him my CD. He looks down at it. He looks up at me and says, "We got to talk." I'm like, "Yeah, we got to talk." And then his presentation was on consciousness and about shutting down the analytical brain so the right brain connects with a much higher consciousness, and where music seems to be coming from somewhere else, downloading into musicians. And it's a countless process that's described by so many musicians of tapping into this higher consciousness. And I finally realized that this was the exact same process of what I had already been experiencing writing my first album, Pyramids on Mars. Mm-hmm. Half of the music I couldn't even take credit for, because I didn't feel like it was coming from me. I was just like a catalyst for the music that was coming from the cosmos, from elsewhere.
And you just connected to that zone? You were just connected to it?
I was just connecting to it. I was like the radio, bringing in the frequencies. And that's what I was experiencing. So what he was talking about made complete sense to me. I totally got it, because I was experiencing it too. And I actually ended up, his book that just came out called Tuned In, The Paranormal World of Music, about this phenomenon and how many musicians have been contacted by extraterrestrials. I'm in a few of the chapters in that book. So if you get that book, you'll see my picture, and you'll see some of my experiences, and some of the songs that came to me in dream downloads are talked about in that book. So getting back to it, I go next door. MUFON, Stu Bundy's there, who took my report of my UFO sighting. He had his back turned. I casually take the drawings that I had drawn on my UFO, because I didn't have a camera at the time, and I just put them on the table. He turned around, looked down at them. His eyes grow big. He looks up at me and goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. We're doing a presentation on you tomorrow." I'm like, "What?" Yeah, we're doing a presentation on you tomorrow. Your sighting is one of the most authentic cases that we've come across. And so I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I haven't heard from you guys in a year, and you're doing a presentation on me? And so then he said, wait, back up. Tell me again how the craft looked when it moved away, when it was moving away from you. I said, well, it grew all black, and it came to the point where there was no light at all, and it was just this black object in the sky. He said, that was it. That was the key that we realized that you were looking at a real object. Because any object that's radiating with plasma, you'll see the plasma stream from one angle, but it disappears on other angles. So he said, you definitely saw a physical craft in the sky. There was no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. So then I asked him the big question. I said, well, how many other people saw this craft? There should have been tons of reports, dozens of reports, because it was huge and it was in the middle of the city. And he said, well, that's the thing. We've had no other reports about it. Yours is the only one.
What?
And I'm like, no, that's impossible. There's no way that no one else reported it or nobody else saw it. It would have been on the news or something like that. And the thing is that nobody else reported it. So much that I found out how deep this went, because after that weekend, I was did one of my first radio interviews on the X Zone with Rob McConnell, and they are actually local to Hamilton, and they did a full research of that night of my UFO sighting to see what anomalies may have been reported that night, and they came up with absolutely zero. Nobody else reported anything. Nobody saw nothing. I was the only one. So much to the point that their producer contacted me the next day and said, we don't believe your story. Don't ever contact us again.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
Well, at the time it was. But you know what? I realized, wait a second, this is perfect. Because they confirmed to me that they did the research and looked at whatever websites or whatever reporting that they look for UFO anomalies. I'm sure they're really good at it, to find out that there was proof that no one else was in contact with this craft. Therefore, it verified my story even more. The reason being was because after I panicked, after talking to Stu Bundy, I ran to Grant Cameron telling him, this is what they're saying about my UFO sighting. I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. I'm scared. And then Grant said, "Yeah."
Support too.
Yeah. And Grant said, "You know what? I saw the MUFON's presentation. I saw your presentation. Yeah, don't worry. We'll get together and we'll talk about it." And so we get together on the Sunday and have a coffee. I go through the whole thing with them again, and they said, and MUFON said that I was the only one who had contact with the craft, and nobody else saw it. And then Grant just calmly just says, "Oh yeah, that happens all the time." I'm like, "What do you mean it happens all the time?" One person has UFO contact and nobody else says, "Yeah, it happens all the time." I'm like, "Grant, what are you talking about?" And he said, "Look, I know people who were chased down a busy freeway by a UFO, and then I stop and ask them, okay, is this freeway often is it busy?" And they say, "Yeah, there's tons of cars on it all the time." And I said, "Okay, so how many cars were on the highway when you were being chased by this craft?" And all of a sudden they stop and think about it, and they go, "Wait a second. The highway was completely empty for miles for at least 10 minutes, and there was no cars. That is impossible. What's going on here?" So Grant said to me, "Kevin, the same thing happened with John Lennon in the city of New York. He had a UFO contact and nobody else saw it. He got so frustrated with the whole thing." And he said it's called the Oz effect. They basically have the ability to shut down who they do not want to have contact with and only have contact with those who they want to have contact with. And they looked straight at me in the eye and said, "Kev, they're in direct contact with you."
Yeah. And
then I was just floored. I was just like, oh my God.
Now what do I do with this?
Now what do I do? What does this mean? They contacted me?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why me? And so then thus began this whole wormhole of down this rabbit hole of all these things that started to take place after that meeting. I started getting more synchronicities. Grant introduced me to Michael Lee Hill, who
Michael on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's the one who taught me about 432 hertz versus 4 hertz, and then I started reading.
Do you tune your instruments to that now, the 432, or?
Absolutely. Yep, I have for the last several years, and all my music is in 432. I've converted all my music to 432. All my new music is written in 432.
I have a good friend listening, Dan Fulop. He's quite a musician himself. And so that's for you, Dan Fulop, who's there in the comments. He's quite a musician himself. So to tune it to 432, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And how do you go about doing that briefly? How would you find out?
Oh, it's easy. You just buy a tuner that has it has a frequency changer, so you can modulate the frequency from 440 hertz and down to 432. It just brings everything down 8 hertz.
Mm-hmm. And that makes all the difference.
Well, think about what is 440 hertz. 440 hertz is a completely artificial number. It has no correlation to anything in the natural world. 432 falls into the golden ratio. Mm-hmm. It falls into sacred geometry. Mm-hmm. And it's completely divided by 12. It's also all the numbers add up to 9. And if you start to understand the importance and significance of this in the universe, as Tesla said, if you understood the importance and the significance of 3, 6, and 9, you understand the secrets of the universe.
True.
432 is also a ratio of the zodiac. If you divide the zodiac 25,160 years, whatever it is, divided by 60, which is our minutes, is 432. If you look at the Saturn's orbit around the sun, it's 432 days times 2. If you look at the radius of the moon, it's something like whatever 100. I forget what it is. It's another ratio of 432. Mm-hmm. And then even the ratio of the radius around the sun is I forget what it is. Like it's like 200,000 times 432 miles. And it gets even crazier.
It just gets crazier, and it's organic. Crazier. So it's organic.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. Guess how many Tiger Woods, his golf ball was designed by a group of scientists to have the ultimate number of dimples to have the maximum airspeed velocity. Guess how many dimples are on his golf ball?
I have no idea.
Yes, you do.
432?
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking of our combination down to 9.
Yeah.
Wow. That doesn't seem fair.
And then, what is the speed of light? Speed of light is 432 squared.
Yeah.
So, 432 is a very significant number. And in fact, actually, my Ponti friends, they actually have a phrase, go find your 9.
Oh, I remember seeing that. I remember that.
Yeah, it means when you find your bliss, when you find your highest consciousness, they refer to it as go find your 9. Think about it.
I love that. I love that. Huh.
I just learned that in the last month.
Wow, I think that's amazing. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. So getting back to my whole where things have gone with me.
And with my camera.
It's just been an incredible ride. I started realizing that I had telepathy and I had clairvoyance. I had these abilities because they were showing up while I was writing my first album, Pyramids on Mars. Were so much that I realized that I had these extrasensory perception abilities. Because I would, think of somebody and all of a sudden they would phone me, or or I would phone somebody and they say, "Oh, we were just talking about you." It was happening so much during the writing of my first album that I realized, okay, I get it. Okay, I've got extrasensory perception. But what I didn't pick up on, and this wasn't until I spoke to Art Bell's producer 5 years ago, that she put it together. Do you realize, Kevin, that your extrasensory perception was enhancing while you were writing your first album, like you were tapping into a higher consciousness. And then all of a sudden the light went on. I was like, yeah, that's what was going on. Because whenever I write my music, I write it from the highest of my consciousness, highest of my abilities, of my deepest emotions, and the music is just flowing through me like it's coming from somewhere else. And at the same time, I was accessing more abilities, these telepathic abilities that I didn't realize what was going on. The biggest one being, and this is significant, was August 10th, 2014. I saw Robin Williams dying the day before he took his life. So it was a Sunday, like he took his life on the Monday, August the 10th. It was the day before that I was doing dishes when all of a sudden I was hit by this wave of emotion and despair and saw his face. And it was the ending of the movie Bicentennial Man. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have not seen that movie.
Oh, it's one of the most beautiful movies I've seen him do. He plays an android that lives for like 200 years, and he gets tired of outliving all his loved ones. And at the end of the movie, he asks to be put to death, to have his plug pulled. And all you see at the end of the movie is him lying next to his wife, who's dying of old age. And they die together holding hands, and he just has a sad smile on his face as the camera is slowly moving away from him as he's dying on the bed. And that's the image that was burned in my mind seeing this. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so sad right now. I got to watch this movie. I'm so sad I'm seeing Robin Williams dying. Mm-hmm. It would be just a little bit more than 24 hours later that I would be told that Robin Williams took his life. Mm-hmm. And then I stopped and I just went, oh my God. I saw him dying yesterday.
Wow.
I am tapping into some kind of powerful energy. Now, what day did I say that happened? Okay, it was August. It was actually August 11th. August 11th. Sorry, Monday was August 11th. That was August 11th that happened. When was my UFO contact? August 21st. Exactly 10 days after that happened.
Uh-huh.
No, there's no coincidence there. It's only synchronicities.
Yeah, very.
Pay attention to the universe. You start to see things going on.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, some other incredible things started to happen. If people go to my website, they'll see my guitars, and they'll see on my guitar necks I have this design on my neck, which is a DNA double helix. In fact, I'll show you. You can probably see this on my guitars.
Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yeah, it's not letting me have any kind of a video.
Oh.
I'm sorry. But what we can do is they can go to your website, and it's up there, the DNA, the double DNA.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, it's not letting
me. They can't see my video?
No, they cannot.
Oh, okay.
So,
I thought they could see my video. Okay, no, that's fine.
I'm sorry, you can't now. I just have you just on
audio?
Yes.
Oh, okay, no problem. So anyway, I got this DNA double helix design on my neck. The story behind that was that I had this dream one morning. It was a very vivid, lucid dream just before you wake up. There's usually a very powerful dream that you have. And my Joe Satriani Ibanez guitar, the one at my main guitar, was being handed back to me by these three Zetas. And it had this cool design in the neck of the guitar, which was what I recognized as a double helix, design in the neck of my guitar. It was a really nice, green, kind of like lime green color. And I recognized that symbol because it was actually a crop circle that formed in Wiltshire, England in 1997. So I knew there was something significant about that DNA double helix. And I thought, well, that'd be really cool to have on the neck of a guitar, but unfortunately that would cost there's no company who could do such an expensive inlay on a neck of a guitar. 3 days after I have that dream, I'm followed on Twitter by Neck Illusions, company called Neck Illusions, who has a custom patent on removable neck graphics for guitars.
Of course they do, right?
Of course they do. I'm thinking, wait a second, what's going on here? And so I contact Mark from the company, and I show him the image of the crop circle, and I say, I'd like it to look green like this and look like this and this, kind of like Steve Vai's guitar. Can you do something like this? And not only did they say yes, but they absolutely loved the idea so much that they endorsed me as an artist, and they now sell that DNA double helix as one of their main selling items. So,
I love it.
Yeah. And so they created it exactly how it was given to me.
Wow. And so quickly, right?
It was meant to be. It was meant to be. I was meant to have this symbol.
Yeah. So it came from creation, right? Manifested like that.
It did. Now here's the thing. I had no idea what this symbol even represented. So, okay, I got this double helix DNA. What does this mean? Well, there actually is a meaning to it. It's a very significant meaning. And what it means, and I learned this through my friend Solaris Blue Raven, because she's written books on it, the Ascension books, and it's all it represents DNA activation. And she told me, because she knows me very well, she says, everything that you've been doing through your music, you have been doing the protocols for DNA activation. It's obvious that is why they give you that symbol, is because you were activating your DNA. So she's the one who taught me of what I was actually doing. Now, so much, I guess you can't see this, but I actually wear around my neck, I have a DNA pendant. The 3-dimensional DNA double helix that I wear around my neck all the time. Yeah, it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. And so, taking things forward, I'm trying to think of where to go next.
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes before break, and I did post the double helix alien DNA removable arm in the comments and also Solaris Blue Raven's website.
Great, excellent, great. Yeah, she's been a fantastic teacher for me. I highly recommend her books. The Ascension, the Ascension through Activation. I think that's the name of the book. I've read that back and forth, and that is a excellent book for anyone who wants to find their highest consciousness and find their highest form of meditation. And that's what I learned through myself, was that I reach my highest states of consciousness in a meditation when I play my guitar. Meditation is different for everyone. Meditation is when you bring yourself into your highest consciousness of being, of who you are as an individual. For me, when I pick up my guitar and I'm playing melodies, because I play my guitar more like a violin, so I'm constantly playing Vivaldi and Bach style violin melodies on my guitar and creating melodic ideas and chord sequences. I am changing my consciousness and I'm reaching a much higher state, and that's where I connect with what my Ponti friends call the edge of the black. This is where one goes when they are creating music. They go to the edge of the black.
Oh, I've never heard that term before. I love it.
What the edge of the black is, it's where the universe, where everything and nothing coexist. So you go to where the edge of the black of the universe is, you turn around, and you play the music that you hear from there. And the music flows through the collective consciousness into you. And then you are interpreting, and you are increasing your emotional content to the music that's coming from the universe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the actual process.
So it's an exact download, just boom, source download.
Exactly. When a musician lets go, they're not consciously, they are the interpreter. The music is flowing from the collective through the soup, and then you are adding your interpretation to it and amplifying your emotional impact to the music, and then you send it out through yourself, back out, ripple, back out into the untimeless zone, back into the depths of the oceans of consciousness.
The visual of you saying that is really beautiful. It's where and the letting go is the key, right? The let go and the trust part, and then I just see it exploding through your heart and through your whole body.
Yeah, the music will come through you because you become the music. There's no division.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just music; it's for any art form. It could be painting. It could be a singer. It can be whatever bliss you are in. That's why they call it Zen and the art of blank. Whatever it is, you get into your Zen mode.
And yours is music.
Music, yes.
Wow. And developing a mastery of the skills of receiving, holding, and then transmuting, right?
Yes, that is a lifetime of work and skills. And in the second hour, we're going to be talking more in depth about talking about my Sandia from the planet Pontel. We'll be talking about them, and we're going to be talking about the downloads that they have given me and how they've changed my consciousness, how they've done physical upgrades to me, and how Teeny, she's one of my teachers, she's been teaching me how to play my music at a telepathic level. And then we're going to be talking about Thera, who came to Earth last year, and her specialty is she is a expert in the tonal language of the whales and dolphins.
Yeah, I can't wait for our listeners to hear that. When I had you gave it to me, the download of that, and we played it. Oh my God, it's intense and beautiful and sad and a lot. It's explosive in a way of the feelings that come up by listening to it.
Yes. And this is where it's very important, because this is what I'm working on now. This is what Teeny's working with me actively as we speak to write more of this music coming from this deep well of consciousness and what they're teaching me. And I'm writing music now that writing music at such a depth that I've never done before. So much that 2-3 days ago, my own brother called me up after listening to a final mix that I had done of one of my songs, and he said, "My God, Kevin, I don't know what you've done, but I am literally in tears. You are playing, I don't know what's going on, but I am completely blown away by what you were doing." And he's never reacted this way ever in his life.
Yeah, he's probably saying, "Where's my brother? I don't know." They'll bring you back. Go, "Who is this guy?" Because it's not the brother that I kind of grew up with or knew in some ways, right? You just blown through all of that.
Yes, pretty much. Pretty much.
So there's a new you inside, a more powerful, a more peaceful, a more expanded.
Very much. Yes, in all aspects. And it's a continuous growth and a continuous process. And it's absolutely beautiful. And we're going to play some of the music that actually has a telepathic tonal language inside it. And I'm going to talk about what I discovered about these pieces that we're playing, because I didn't know what was going on until after it occurred. And then I was just shocked. It was a self-discovery, probably the most important thing that I have ever done in my lifetime. And I will continue to do this, and we'll get into more of that after the break.
Well, when you're talking, the pictures that I get is like a classical masterpiece, but it is a masterpiece. It's because it goes beyond, like you're saying, anything that you've been taught or what we've been able to perceive here.
Yes, it does. Yes, because it's going past perceptions of what we've been limited to, or what we think is only our limitations with music. Most people just think that music is just notes, and it's it's just music. Mm-hmm. No, no, it's not, because there are animals who speak a tonal language. The music, that their language is in actual tones, is in frequencies. The whales speak a language, a very complex telepathic language. So do the dolphins. Mm-hmm. So do many of the animals, and we just haven't been able to understand their language until now. Until now.
Da, 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 da. And if you're one, then there has to be others of your like-mindedness, of your creative crafts that you're probably very looking forward to meet up with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So far, you have not met anyone quite like you, though, I bet. So you might feel a little alone sometimes in this journey, or...
I'm still trying to discover myself, because I honestly don't know what's happening, and it's a complete self-discovery. You have to understand, Thera gave me this download way back in April, and it was a massive download, because I asked for it. I said, can you teach me this tonal language? And she said, yes. I didn't expect that I was actually going to get it, and I did.
And the format that she gave it to you was unexpected, right?
Yeah, because I woke up exhausted. I know when they've given me a download, because my head feels like mushy cotton, or mushy like oatmeal, and it took me 3 days of an oatmeal brain to recover from that download. Because actually what was going on, there's an actual physical rewiring of neurons in your mind as your brain is rewiring itself for the new information that they've given you. Our brains are not static. Our brains actually do change neurotically with new neurological wiring, depending on how, in our thought processes, what our beliefs are, how our beliefs change our thoughts, and what we learn, how we learn, what we learn. We constantly we wire our own brains. We really do.
Mm-hmm. So it's more than just showing up, right?
No, it's more than showing up. Well, I mean, with the Ponti, what's really cool is that these Zetas have this ability to be able to do this stuff, to download information. It's like the Matrix, Neo wakes up and he says, I know Kung Fu. Where do you think they got the idea from? It's from the Zetas. That's exactly what they do. It's crazy. You wake up one day and all of a sudden you know something that you knew that you didn't know before. But usually that information is buried and it takes a while for it to come out. But that's how they do downloads. It's crazy. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know. I mean, they told me, Thera, she gave me the download. It took me 3 days to recover from it. And then they gave me instructions in regards to how to access the download. Mm-hmm. And how much time we have before the break?
I think I'm checking right now. It might.
Dude, it's crazy. You wake up.
Okay, we're still. I think we have 2 minutes.
Okay, after the break, when we come back from the break, I'm going to read to you word for word what Thera and Teeny told me in regards to how to access this tonal language whale music, of what they told me and how to do it.
That's amazing. Wow. And then once you get that information, then how for you as an artist to then work with that.
Yes, we'll be talking about that too.
So stay tuned, everyone. We have with us KEVIN Estrella and Pyramids on Mars, and you can find him on pyramidsonmars.com. We'll be going to break in just a moment. We did have a couple questions. Let's see. I think we got them, though. Yes, Emily Blake Cassell says that the DNA double helix, also the Fibonacci ratio. And she said, yeah, go find your 9. So I'll just take a shout out to James Kluke for joining us, and Emily Blake Cassell, and Chino, Tammy, and Anthony. Let's see, we have quite a few. Jeannie Ulm, Lori Woodard, Stephen Myers. And I wanted to give a shout out to Lauren Kurth, way over in Australia. Much love to you, Lauren. And to all of our listeners tonight, we have KEVIN Estrella. Check out his website. It's pyramidsonmars.com. Check out his store and his double helix arm for the guitar. And you teach guitar lessons online as well.
Yes, I do.
In breaking news,
a
visiting
awesome.
Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a 5th dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A, for the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
Who are you? I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you.
Why am I here?
You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision, which has led you inexorably here.
You haven't answered my question.
The Matrix is older than you know. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equation.
Choice. The problem is choice.
Right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Be here Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Private Eye Matrix Revealed with Monique Lassonde.
Hello, my name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically autonomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday at 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free. But there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States, for a $60 donation, Or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Collision Course is back. Schedule will be on Revolution Radio every Saturday night, 6 to 8 p.m. You get outer space. You get honest answers, real researchers, truthful answers, and a place to engage with questions. Take part in the discussion. Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com hosts Collision Course every Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once-per-year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey. We were muted there for a moment, but we're back. Thank you for your generous donations and keeping Revolution Radio on the air. Just go to freedomslips.com, hit that donate button, and give whatever you can, because we're an all-volunteer station. And know, without a doubt, that every dollar that you give goes directly to the station, because no one is paid for anything. We all do it because we want the truth out. And tonight we're talking about music, the art of music and its capacity to raise consciousness and service. So welcome back, KEVIN Estrella and your band Pyramids on Mars.
Thank you, Barbara.
Hey, we finally got back. I'm glad we did. So we were going to talk about your downloads from your Ponti friends.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe I should back up just a bit to explain to the new listeners of who exactly I'm talking about here.
That's a good idea.
So about a year and a half ago, well, maybe actually 2 years ago, a good friend of mine told me that there was a group of extraterrestrials who are actually using Twitter. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, yes, no, they're real, and they're actually using Twitter. But it's not them who's actually tweeting. They have a telepath on here on the on the planet who actually she's human, and she does the translating for them. I'm like, this is really awesome. And who are they? And he said, go to @sandiawisdom.com. And so I went to @sandiawisdom.com and was introduced to the Ponti. If you go there, it's there originally there was 4 of them who were talking. There's Tilcum, who's their commander. There's Radar. There's Drudy, and there's Teeny. And it depends on each one. It wouldn't be they who would be speaking through Twitter, but there was each of them were talking on Twitter. And I was observing this for like 2 weeks, going there every day and reading everything that I could of all the tweets I could. And it was really I was convinced that this was no joke, that they're the real deal. And eventually, I was when I was speaking to them, I started to get to know them better on Twitter, and then they said they wanted to set up a private meeting with me and Sue, their telepath, because they do that. They will also ping me to figure out who I am, a little bit more about me, and then they introduced me to. I actually got phoned up Sue and talked to her, and found out she told me about the whole story about how she discovered Tilcum and the group and their history, and how they're residing in a base under the Sandia Mountains in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a base that's 2 miles under the ground that's been there for over 10,000 years. And Sue and I hit it off right away, like right off the bat, and we've been very, very good friends and ever since, and we work really close together pretty much every day. But I got to really know Tilcum and Drudy and Radar on a much more personal basis, and I realized they were real, and they started to come visit me, and they were leaving evidence of visitations behind in my apartment with handprints, and but they also came and helped me. They helped enhance me for the abilities that I'd be doing now. And so it was back last year, around March, I got a message from Sue saying that I was on the schedule to be visited, and that I would know that I'd be visited if there was something that was out of place. And so then there was this one Wednesday where I woke up in the morning and I could hear sound down below my apartment. I really wasn't sure what it was. And then I go back to sleep, and then sometime around 5:30 in the morning, I'm woken to the feeling of liquid draining out of my left ear. It startled me, and it really freaked me out. I woke up and went, "Wow, what the heck is that? Why do I got water draining out of my ear? That's really weird." Get up, I go to work the next day, and I come to work, and I'm walking over to my computer when I all of a sudden look at this wooden statue that I have as a little guitar player on my wall, and he's facing against the wall, turned the opposite way. And I'm going, what the heck why is he facing the wall? Was I drunk last night and dropped him and put him back in the... No, I wasn't drinking last night. And then I call up Sue, and I tweeted, and then Drudy picked up on the tweets, and she said, I just got a message from one of the trainees. Their apologies if they did not put him back. He was strangely cute. I'm like, oh my God, they were here. And then all of a sudden, my friend who introduced me to the Ponti, he was saying, that he was visited by Drudy, and they were doing a procedure on him to remove what he called like black goo, and they had to wait for him to go to sleep. And all of a sudden, click, this light went on in my head, thinking, wait a second. I ran up to my bed, I look at my pillow, and where the liquid drained out of my ear, here on my pillow was this red stain. And then I told him about it. And then he said, oh, yes, thank you for reminding me about the liquid draining out of the left ear. They told me that that's the last part of the process that helps clear out. That's the last bit that comes out after they've cleared us out. I'm like, you had this happen too? And he said, yeah. I'm like, oh, my God, this is crazy. We also found out from a couple of the other Twitter followers close ones on Sandia, that they experience the same type of liquid draining out of their ears too. So what happened was that over the process of the next 7 days, my urine was just completely putrid. It was like I was releasing ammonia and chemicals, and it smelled like metal, and it was really toxic. It was clearing stuff out of my body that I didn't know was in my body. After the 7th day, my consciousness had cleared in such a way that I had never experienced this ever in my entire life. I was able to access areas in my brain that I'd never been able to access before. It's kind of like the same physical sensation of being able to flex a muscle. I was able to flex areas in my brain and activate whatever area in my brain that I wanted. Now, they repeated this.
Was it like a peaceful feeling or expansive feeling, or how different did it feel?
Completely expansive. Mm-hmm. Completely expansive. And I experienced, they did a second procedure. They did it again because I had another stain on my pillow. And then it was after the second procedure that, boom, I was in a clearly different consciousness, expanded consciousness, and I have been like this ever since, 24/7. Ever since then, my consciousness is now completely different, and I am now connected to the collective always. Mm-hmm. I'm a completely different person, enhanced.
Changed your perception. You're walking around in this body in a different way.
It changed my consciousness, my physical brain consciousness, in the sense that my brain is activated, and it's almost like it becomes activated when I am able to think about something or certain thoughts come. It's very hard to describe, but I'm able to put pressure in any area of my mind that I want. I can put pressure on my pineal gland. I can put pressure on my amygdala. I can activate my brain stem. I can activate the top of my skull. I can focus on different areas of my mind because my mind is now, my consciousness is actually changed. I never realized, through the controllers who are on this planet and all the dumbing down that they purposely do, putting fluoride in our water to calcify our pineal gland, to the chemicals they put in our foods to clog up our brains, to whatever else they put in us to basically turn us into spiritually less zombies. The mass amount of humanity we are all zombies, and put into this state purposely to keep us dumbed down from awakening from our higher self. The Ponti cleared this out of my mind.
So you're open now. I'm
very open, very open. And so now Teeny has been working with me to help me communicate my music on a telepathic level. And I would hold free concerts last year, and I would play in my apartment. I'm able to play all my music, Pyramids of Mars, through, it's all mixed down through my sound system, and then I'm playing, my guitar, my lead guitar, through my amplifiers. And I was having free concerts here last year. And the Ponti were actually showing up for the free concerts. They were. I tell people this, they're like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, well, it's true. Because I would make the announcement, okay, guys, I'm having a free concert at 7:30 Thursday night. You're most welcome to show up. And then I would get a message from Sue. She said, I just got a notification that there is a skipper ship full of all these primped up Ponti girls getting into a ship. They're heading your way right now.
I love it.
Yeah, it was all these groupie chicks. They're the ones who are showing up this show, and they're getting dressed up. The thing is, they're invisible. I can't see them, but they're showing up, and they would leave handprints up on my bed sheets, or my bed.
Can you feel them though, Kevin?
What's that?
Can you feel them there though?
I think so. They're pretty quiet. They're pretty quiet, but Sue would tell me that they were here. They definitely showed up, and it was happening several times. Radar was just floored. He's like, "What are all the chicks doing getting into a ship? Where are they all going?" And it was so much that one of the Twitter followers actually gave them a nickname.
Oh,
you see, because my last name is Estrella, they called these girls Las Estrellitas, which means little stars.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Las Estrellitas.
Las Estrellitas. So those are my groupies. The Las Estrellitas. It's so awesome. And so I would hold these free concerts, and then they would give me critiques on how I'm doing, how am I playing my music, not just playing my music, but how I'm communicating it on a telepathic emotional wavelength. And they said that I was doing an excellent job doing that. So I felt that I was getting better. But they're a hard crowd to please, and they kept saying, "Yeah, Kevin, you are communicating telepathically in your music. You're playing your music great, but you got to work on your dance moves some more and do some more, stuff on stage." I'm like, "Oh man,
your stage
hard,
huh?"
Yeah. I said, "Do you know how hard it is to play the kind of technical music I'm playing,
right?
And then communicate it at a telepathic level, and now you want me to dance around the stage? You guys are a tough crowd." But I'm working on it. So, getting back to where things were going. So, regarding the tonal language of the whales.
Yes.
Thera, when she came to the planet last year, and Sue drew a portrait of her, and she's absolutely she's so cute, and it just. I was learning more about why she was here, and that she actually is an expert of the tonal language of the whales and the dolphins, and that she would be heading to the aquatic station in New Zealand very shortly.
Wow.
And the reason, this is the sad part about it, the reason why she is here, first of all, we have to understand that the whales, their language, they speak a very complex telepathic tonal language. So when they communicate, they're actually projecting images and telling stories when they talk. And that's what we're hearing with their whale songs. So, and apparently the whales' songs and stories are known throughout the galaxies. And they have been for millennia, for thousands, if not millions of years. The whales are very important to not just our planet, but to multiple cultures everywhere. The reason why Thera is here is because she's collecting the language, she's collecting these songs of the whales before they all die.
Oh, God.
Because they are dying because of Fukushima, the radiation poisons in the oceans. The oceans are dying. They are dying because of the plastic that we throw into the oceans. And so what happens is that just before a whale passes, they swim to the very bottoms of the oceans, to the dark depths of the black. They put their nose into the ground, and they sing their last song into Gaia. Gaia records it, and then they die. So she's here to collect these songs before all the whales are gone. So that's the sad part about where we're taking the planet. But I asked her, "Can you please teach me this language? Because I think it's important that we need to bridge the gap between us and the whales. We need to understand them and understand how important they are." And that's why she said she would teach me this. And so it was about 2 weeks before Christmas. Well, actually, let me get back to, they actually gave me instructions in regards to how to access this tonal language download that they gave me. They actually told me how I could download it or how to access it. And this is reading from exactly what Teeny and Thera told me. So it says, "Thera is not done with the tonal language with you. You have the beginning lessons. But the girls say you'll get farther faster with the tonal language if you try writing or speaking in song. Teeny suggests take yourself down to the beach, the Hamilton Beach, an hour or two before sunset. Take an acoustic guitar with you and let the water and the fire, sunlight and the oceans dance together as you spontaneously allow the fingering and chords to come from the edge of the black. She says, stay right there on the beach. Keep your eyes open. And if you can, absorb the colors and the energy of the combination, listening and just replaying what you hear you do, like when you go all the way out into the universe. Now just do it here. You should be able to, Teeny says, with your deeper, more consistent collective consciousness connection that we've given you. And then she says, putting yourself into a projective state, a receptive projective state, letting it flow through you like you do when you write songs from the edge of the black. Take all your thoughts that are words and retranslate them into tonal language proactively, into the tone, the length of the note, the sustaining of the note, the volume, the intensity of intent. Add the slide from one thought to another, a transitory bridge. Now add emotions, images, history, and intended message to the audience. Teeny says that's quite a lot. You don't have to learn all the added layers all at once, but you get the idea. So you have to understand that telepathy is a very complex language. It's not just thoughts, hearing somebody speaking in your head. It's imagery. It's telling a story. It's feelings. It's a complete consciousness experience, and that's part of what this tonal language is. So 2 weeks before Christmas, I was feeling something going on inside my head, which felt like a very active neurological rewiring that was going on. And also, I was starting to consciously interpret music differently. I started to hear chords more like complex murals of emotion. I no longer heard them as notes or notes that make up a chord. I heard them chords as complex murals that had very powerful emotion in it. I was working on a song, which one we're going to play this one. It's called Nachwaffen. And I was working on the main melody of this song. And I had it on a loop, so it was repeating. So I kept playing the melody that was coming through to me from the edge of the black until it synchronized. It's exactly what I felt the message was that was coming through me. Kept working it until this melody was perfect. And I knew, okay, this is the melody that's coming through. And then I recorded it. Now this is where it gets profound. 20 minutes later, after I record this, I get a MSN messenger from Sue. She said, I was just contacted by Teeny and Thera. They said, whatever you were just experimenting with the music, the ripple, the tone, you just accessed the tonal language of the whales.
Oh.
They heard you playing telepathically through the collective consciousness. I'm like, oh my God. I have this all timestamped, by the way, like from the original recording on my phone to the recording, to the message that I got from Sue. How is that possible that they heard me thousands of miles away in Albuquerque playing my guitar telepathically, and I was accessing a tonal language of the whales?
They were right on it.
They were right on it. And so I worked. Hang on, I got to plug my phone in. Okay. So I finished. I worked on the song until I finished the song, and then I had the final studio mastered version done. I was very proud of it. It really came across very strong, especially the melody that came out. It was Christmas Eve that I was listening back to the song, and I would listen to it at least 5 times. Mm. And then, going back to what Sue has told me in regards to telepathy, there's something that's called a sudden knowing. Mm. And sometimes you will get these things where all of a sudden information comes to you that you never had before, that comes like a flash, and it's called a sudden knowing. And it's almost 100% accurate in regards to the information that comes through. That's a telepathic sudden knowing. All of a sudden, when I was listening to this song and I heard that melody playing, I then heard a translation. I was actually saying, "Do you hear me?" Mm. The melody that was playing actually was translating into human words. "Do you hear me?" Mm-hmm. And I was just shocked. I was floored. I literally wept for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't stop crying. It was the most profound, amazing thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life. And it completely changed my paradigm in regards to understanding music. Mm-hmm. Thinking, are you kidding me that this actually translates into words? This melody? And I didn't believe it. I tweeted to Sue Walker, and I said, oh my God, the melody that I'm playing, there's a translation. It's "Do you hear me?" And then the message came back from her, and it said, I just heard cheering coming from the Sandia Mountain. Hmm. They're sending the message back to the aquatic stations. Obviously, what I had done was real.
Yeah.
I also got confirmation from my friend who introduced me to Sandia, because his abilities is he channels with a tall white. Mm-hmm. They're connected all the time. And I had his tall white friend listen to the song. And she too confirmed that what I was saying was "Do you hear me?" in a tonal language. Mm-hmm. So I got all this confirmation, and it just completely blew me away that I was actually doing this. Consciously, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't put the two together, and I still don't know what I'm doing. I just know that I'm working from the depths of my being, working on these melodies, not forcing them, letting them come through me from the deep, from the edge of the black, and I am the catalyst communicating through the collective consciousness. And this is the process that I'm working on now consciously. I'm really working very hard with this. And that's why Waitini told me that by the time I release my second album, I'm going to have a whole bunch of music, more than an album's worth. And now I understand why. It's because she has to be doing all these new homework assignments to write this music right now, working on developing this new telepathic ability, this tonal language, working and translating. So now it makes complete sense. So actually, right now would probably be a perfect time to play Naf Waffle.
Let's do it.
We don't have to play the whole song. We can, unless you want to, but at least, the first 3 minutes will give it, because it's the main melody. It's the main melody that goes da 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 da. That melody translates into "Do you hear me?"
And this is the Nachtwaffen?
Nachtwaffen, yes.
All right, let's do it. And we'll do it on my end. I can do it on my end here. Okay, here we go, Kevin. There it is. Wow. Okay, I don't think you can see it, Kevin, but whew. All right.
There we go.
Wow. You can't see it, but I have I'm old school with the flame. All right. All right, we'll pull out of that. How does it make you feel when you hear it, Kevin?
The message is, it changes my consciousness when I'm listening to it, because I know that there's something much deeper going on with the notes that I'm playing. And even when I listen to it again, the bending, the certain bends that I'm doing, they're not even quite bending to the full note of where the next note would be. It's almost like it's 3/4 of the way. So it's like there's partial tones of where the bends are going in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It for me, it's just so many layers that it opens up. It's so deep. It's like an unflowering of this place that it's taking you, and it's unknown. It's like a mystery to it too. There's a degree of mystery, but then it feels like the ocean. It feels deep and mysterious and dark and light at the same time, though, and a focused direction, totally expanded at the same time. Yes,
very much. It took a lot of energy to play that particular section, those melodies.
I love it.
It took a lot out of me after I recorded it.
I would think so. Well,
I told Teeny and Thera, I said, I don't think humans are physically capable of being able to maintain a long period of time to be able to play at that depth of what the whales are communicating at. Mm-hmm. It takes so much out of me to do that. And the whale song took me a whole day to recover after recording that.
Yeah, we're going to go to that one next after I just really want to stay in this just for a second. You want to stay in it. You know what I mean? You just want to kind of stay in it. Yeah. So it's, and words don't define it. And listening to it, it was very difficult for me to sit. I wanted to dance it or move it. It has such movement to it at the same time. Mm. So I was maintaining, but I really wanted to get up and move it. And it's because of the movement, probably of the whale in the water, in its atmosphere, which is also multidimensional at the same time.
Yes.
Mm. Really amazing. Really, truly. Whew. All right. Do you want to go to the whale song next, or do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, I'll explain about what happened with this one.
Okay, let's.
So, once again, I channeled into an energy and started to. I recorded this initially on my phone, and it was extremely powerful, and it was coming from somewhere else, and I heard this communication coming through me. And I am quite certain that it was some great bard, some large whale was communicating through the collective consciousness and had a message for humanity. And so I recorded this song. And when I recorded this song, you'll hear ocean in the background, you'll hear the guitar playing, but the song is more of a meditation, and to have the full effect of the song, you really need to play it either through a full stereo or through a good set of headphones, because there's a multi-layers of different frequencies that are playing. It was recorded, it was mixed in a way that it's what you would hear if you were under the ocean. Because if you remember, if you ever swim under the ocean, there's not a lot of high frequency that comes through. It's more of a mid-range to a lower depths. So when you listen to the song, all the highs are cut out, and it's what you would hear if you were actually under the ocean, and you will actually feel the pings of the as the sonar comes through, as the sound waves are bouncing back at you, the way it's recorded with the echoes coming from the guitar. But I've had many people who've listened to it said that it literally changed their consciousness when they listened to it. And they had visualizations too, and saw a whale, large whale.
Oh, love it. All right. Well, let's listen to this, everyone who's listening. And if you happen to come in later and listen to this at a later date, take a moment and just pause it and go get your headset and prepare yourself, right? All right. So this is the Whale Song.
Yes.
By KEVIN Estrella in Pyramids on Mars. And I have put that on the Facebook page, and it's pyramidsonmars.com. And this is the Whale Song. It's hard to put into words.
Yeah, that version you played was actually the original demo that was recorded on my cell phone.
I love it. I love it. It's such a love for life and all that it is.
That was the very raw recording that I did. That's why you hear my little green cheek Connor Frisco in the background chirping.
I did. That's only when I had, I think. So, but I think our listeners will get it. You have to listen to it. Do you want to listen to it in a different format? Then is that what you're saying, or?
I thought I had sent you the studio copy.
That's
I emailed you the studio copy.
Oh, you might have, but this is the one that I have. This is the one that I listened to.
Oh, you haven't? So you haven't heard the
No, I have. Do you want to play that yourself? Do you have that where you could cue it up, or I could look for it?
I'm certain I emailed it to you.
Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, let me see if I can find it really quick then. I love that one, so I can't see how you could, even do. Okay, let me see.
Let me see if I can find it again.
Okay. Wow. It's so complex and so beautiful and so sad and such a loss and you feel it so deep. Let's see if I can find it so our listeners here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to.
Okay. That will be. Okay, so let's see. Kevin. Let's see what we got here. Okay. It's like 100,000.
Yeah, I'm sending it to you. I'm sending it to you again right now.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Thanks, because I'm trying to find it. And it's like, oh my God. Okay, thanks for tuning in, everyone. It's quite an artistic joy we have today with Kevin Estrella on.
You let me know if you get if you get it.
Okay. I don't have it yet. No. Okay, let's try again. Let's do inbox. Go. More. All mail. What? No new mail. We just have here it is. We have just a few minutes left in the show. I think we'll have just enough time. So here it is. Yes. Well, song. Here, I'm going to download it right now, and I'm just going to put it right on, okay?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Come on. Come on.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at buyer risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free, but there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country was founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to the banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that, just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means.